leadership after spending some time with her on the floor listening to the voter suppression occurring in Ohio. I'm grateful for this opportunity. I want to thank the whip for his leadership on voting rights, election rights, for any number of sessions, starting as early as the election in 2000, when we were brought to confront the issue of voter improprieties. Let me first of all say that we are seeing the ugly head of the suppression of votes rising across America. 40 states have implemented voter ID laws. Let me explain to the voters, voter ID can only respond to voter impersonation. Statistics will tell you that most voters do not show up at the polls trying to be somebody else. In addition, most voters will have a voting card. Now you will suppress those who are elderly, disabled, young, who do not have a state-issued voter ID. In my district alone this past weekend, I met a woman who was 97 years old in a wheelchair who had attempted to get her voter ID with a photograph pursuant to Texas law that she thought was in place now. It was a difficult challenge. Her relatives went with her, and she could not get her voter ID. I made a commitment that my office would go with her because of the extensive requirements and the intimidation and fear. But it is also in the state of Texas that we are hearing that many polling people who are in charge of elections for this November 2011 have confused the precinct judges so much that they have even told them that the voter ID law will be in place as of November 2011, and it doesn't go into effect, if it does, until January 2012, again to suppress voters, the elderly and minority voters. I would encourage and ask the Justice Department to be diligent on reviewing all of these voter ID laws. Texas is now being reviewed and it has not been pre-cleared. We ask the Justice Department to declare that it is in violation of the Voting Rights Act. Let me say that voting is a precious right. I want everyone to be able to vote, and it is documented that fraud is very limited in voting. To eliminate same-day registration, there is no grounds to suggest that there is fraud that occurs in same-day registration. From the oppression of those who could not vote because of poll tax, because of counting jelly beans in a jar, all of that leads to the oppression that keeps people from voting. So I stand today on the floor of the House to say we will never give up the fight. We're going to fight these voter ID laws. We're going to fight these laws that are going to intimidate our voters. Intimidation, fear, and oppression will not survive this election of 2011 or 2012. We are going to stand with you, and the Department of Justice will be reviewing on behalf of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And I thank you, and I yield back.
Thank you very much. Our whip has joined us, and I would, at this